They didn't win the Oscar. Some weren't even nominated. But these performances, they stick with you. Fearless, haunting, and unfairly overlooked, this is your reminder. Here are 15 acting performances that deserve far more recognition than they ever got.
You know what I wish? We should get off our asses. Let's go down to the horse and play some poker. What do you think?
Paul Newman was in his 70s when he gave one of the best performances of his career, and barely anyone noticed. In Nobody's Fool, there's no grand courtroom speech, no tragic monologue, just a broken man trying to do one thing right for once. Newman plays Sully with a shrug, a smirk, and eyes that carry decades of regret. It's quiet, unassuming, but it hits hard. Every pause feels earned. Every moment matters. He's not chasing redemption, he's just learning how to live with himself. And somehow, that's even more powerful. This isn't movie star Newman, it's craftsman Newman. No fireworks, just fire. The kind that glows low and slow and stays with you long after the credits roll. Criminally underrated, quietly unforgettable.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Anthony Perkins didn't just play Norman Bates, he became him. And that's what ruined his career. In Psycho, he's soft-spoken, polite, almost innocent. But underneath, pure chaos. Perkins gave a performance so quietly disturbing, so precise that Hollywood couldn't unsee it. He wasn't cast in romances or dramas anymore, just weirdos, loners, killers. Norman's shadow followed him for decades. Studios typecast him, audiences expected the smile and the knife. Even when he showed range on stage or in indie films, it didn't matter. Norman stuck. Too well. He should have had the career of Nicholson or De Niro. Instead, he kept returning to Bates, again and again. What should have launched him into legend ended up boxing him in. One of the greatest horror performances ever, and a lifelong curse.
I just mule. Occasionally, not making a habit out of it.
Angel.
Amy Ryan in Gone Baby Gone, she vanished into the role. As a neglectful, grieving mother in South Boston, she delivered a performance so real it felt like a documentary. No glamour, no filter, just pain, anger, and a shocking kind of honesty. She's infuriating and heartbreaking. One minute she's spitting venom, the next she's quietly drowning in guilt. Critics raved, the Oscars noticed, but still, she didn't break out the way she should have. No big studio push. Despite the buzz, Amy Ryan remains one of Hollywood's most underrated powerhouses. This performance should have launched her into the stratosphere, but it's still tucked away, waiting to be rediscovered. Quiet, relentless, unforgettable, a masterclass in making ugly truth feel human.
Wretched slugs. Don't any of you have the guts to play for blood?
I'm your huckleberry. That's just my game.
Val Kilmer, Tombstone, he stole the entire movie. Surrounded by gunslingers and grit, he turned what could have been a cartoonish sidekick into something unforgettable, tragic, sharp, and weirdly spiritual. Every line drips with charm or pain, sometimes both. I'm your Huckleberry? Iconic. But beneath the swagger is a dying man, coughing blood, chasing death, and clinging to dignity with a smirk. Kilmer is sickly, funny, and quietly heartbreaking. It's the kind of performance that sneaks up on you, then stays. Critics praised it, fans quoted it, but the awards? Nothing. Not even a nomination. Kilmer delivered one of the coolest and saddest performances of the 90s, and Hollywood slept on it. This wasn't just good acting, it was legend.
Yes, as I came home, I saw him going to his apartment with a girl.
Gloria Graham's performance in A Lonely Place is one of those rare noir turns that feels dangerously alive. She isn't playing the classic femme fatale, she's something harder to pin down. A woman in love, yes, but also watchful, guarded, and slowly unraveling as the man she's with becomes harder to believe. Paired with Humphrey Bogart in one of his most explosive roles, Graham never tries to match his intensity. Instead, she undercuts it. Quietly. Brilliantly. Her expressions shift by degrees. Her voice stays calm even as her eyes start telling a different story. Behind the scenes, Graham's real-life marriage was falling apart. Director Nicholas Ray, her estranged husband, was literally sleeping on set to avoid going home. So when you see that mix of vulnerability and steel in her performance, it wasn't entirely acting. It's one of the most layered, modern performances of the 1950s, and yet it's still underappreciated. Gloria Graham doesn't explode on screen, she haunts it, and she never really leaves.
Are going to be married.
Crash! Beautiful work, Naomi.
That was wonderful.
Naomi Watts, sweet dreamer by day, shattered soul by night. That duality? Unreal. The audition scene alone, where she flips the switch midline, should have won everything. 1 second, she's bubbly and bright. The next, you're holding your breath. Watts dives headfirst into David Lynch's surreal nightmare and never blinks. Her breakdown in the final act is pure emotional chaos, but somehow still controlled. She gave one of the most fearless performances of the 2000s, and the Academy didn't even nominate her. No trophy, no spotlight, just one of the most brilliant, mind-bending roles ever put on screen. Quietly legendary and still overlooked.
Check this out.
Before the Oscars recognized him for Darkest Hour, Gary Oldman gave one of his most explosive and overlooked performances in State of Grace. He plays Jackie Flannery, a volatile Irish gangster whose charm and chaos are dangerously intertwined. Oldman is electric here, unpredictable, loud, intoxicated, and fiercely loyal, often all at once. It's a heartbreaking portrayal of someone desperately trapped by loyalty, violence, and pride. One moment, Oldman's laughing, cracking wise in a bar. The next, he's pressing a gun to his best friend's head. It's a role soaked in sweat, whiskey, and regret, showcasing Oldman's rare ability to balance madness with genuine emotional depth. And incredibly, this raw performance didn't attract awards or widespread recognition. Critics rarely mention it. Fans often miss it. But it stands among Oldman's most authentic and layered portrayals, leaving an unforgettable mark that deserves rediscovery.
There's this silly little thing called Bess who keeps on wanting me to talk to her, so my work's been piling up a bit.
Emily Watson showed up in Breaking the Waves, her first film, and delivered a performance people are still trying to process. No training wheels, no safety net, just full emotional exposure. She plays Bess, a deeply devout woman pulled into heartbreak, sacrifice, and something darker. It's spiritually devastating. Every moment feels unscripted, like we're watching something we're not supposed to see. And that ending, it hits like a freight train. Watson gives everything, voice trembling, eyes wide, heartbreaking, and it never once feels forced. You don't forget this performance. You can't. And yet, no Oscar win. Barely a mention in most greatest lists. One of the boldest performances of the 90s and still painfully underrated. Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List, he's calm, calculated, then casually brutal. It's unsettling how normal he seems. And maybe that's why he didn't win the Oscar. He was too convincing. No big speech, no over-the-top theatrics, just cold, everyday evil, delivered with terrifying ease. He haunts the screen with quiet menace. And it sticks. You feel nauseous watching him. But you can't look away. It's one of the most chilling performances ever filmed. And yet no Oscar, no legacy-level praise. He made evil look human, and that might have been too real for award season.
You notified your dad?
What do you mean?
Billy!
Live! Billy! Live! For what?
Billy,
for what? For what?
Brad Davis in Midnight Express gave everything and barely gets mentioned today. He plays an American locked in a Turkish prison, and the performance is pure survival. No polish, no vanity, just fear, rage, and total emotional exposure. Davis is sweating, shaking, screaming, and somehow he never loses the humanity underneath. You feel every injustice, every humiliation, every second ticking by like a death sentence. It's one of those performances that grabs you by the throat and never lets go. But here's the thing, no lasting fame, no awards legacy. Davis poured his soul into this role, and Hollywood moved on, quietly, unfairly. What he did in this film, unflinching, courageous, and still as powerful now as it was in 1978.
What's the matter, honey?
We gotta talk about something serious.
Oh,
no! Sorry.
What, are you drunk?
Oh, I haven't had a drop.
Jack Lemmon was known for charm, wit, light comedy. But in Days of Wine and Roses, he goes dark. No jokes, no smiles. Just a slow, terrifying slide into addiction, and it's brutal. Lemmon plays an everyday guy whose drinking wrecks everything, his job, his marriage, his mind. And he doesn't hold back. He's sweating, screaming, begging in alleyways. It's hard to watch, and that's the point. He makes alcoholism feel real, messy, ugly, human. This wasn't the Lemon audiences were used to, and maybe that's why people don't talk about it. But it's one of his best performances. No charm, no happy ending, just pain, and the haunting weight of knowing he might never come back. Unforgettable, and way too overlooked.
The hard fact remains that your daughter, at her present stage of development, is roughly on an intellectual par with the African gorilla.
James Mason's performance in Bigger Than Life is a powder keg with a slow, terrifying fuse. He plays a mild-mannered schoolteacher prescribed a new miracle drug, cortisone, and what follows is one of the most disturbing portrayals of psychological collapse in 1950s cinema. One moment he's lecturing his son like a prophet, the next he's weeping in the shadows. It's domestic horror wrapped in a social critique, and it still feels modern. Audiences hated it at the time. The film bombed. Critics didn't know what to make of it. But watch it now, and you'll see a performance that predicted suburban pressure and pharmaceutical abuse decades ahead of schedule. Mason didn't play it safe. He went straight into the fire. And the result is one of the most chilling, overlooked performances of his career.
I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over.
That's the way Pop wanted it.
It ain't the way I wanted it. I can handle things. I'm smart.
John Cazale's performance in The Godfather Part 2 is a masterclass in quiet devastation. While everyone was watching Pacino and De Niro steal scenes, Cazale was crafting something smaller and far more heartbreaking. As Fredo, he's not the powerful brother. He's the forgotten one. The one who got passed over again and again until something inside him finally snapped. That scene in the snowy lake house? Fredo slouched in a recliner, voice trembling, eyes filled with pain. It's cinematic heartbreak. This was one of only 5 films he made before his death, all of them Best Picture nominees. Every performance? Flawless. But Fredo might be his most human. It's the soul of the trilogy, and still one of the most underrated performances in movie history.
You would never take disgusting, sick, degrading pictures of your children doing these things.
Robin Williams was known for energy, for joy, for heart. But in 1 hour photo, he strips all of that away, and what's left is chilling. He plays Cy Parrish, a photo technician with a soft voice, an empty life, and a growing obsession with a seemingly perfect family. No big gesture, no jokes, just a man quietly falling apart beneath fluorescent lights. And that's what makes it so disturbing. His stillness. His kindness. It feels off, but you can't quite say why. His sadness is suffocating. His loneliness? Palpable. You don't root for him, but you ache for him. This wasn't just a good performance. It was transformational. He became someone else entirely. No traces of Jeannie or Mrs. Doubtfire, just a man fading into the margins, desperate to feel seen. The Academy ignored it. Most people did too. But it remains one of Williams' boldest, most daring roles. A master of warmth, showing he could go ice cold and still keep your heart in a vice. Quiet, creepy, heartbreaking, and still underappreciated.
For Christ's sakes,
Dan, don't say that again, please. Don't use that word in vain. It bothers me.
Gene Hackman's performance in The Conversation is a masterclass in restraint. Just one man, quiet, meticulous, slowly unraveling under the weight of guilt and obsession. He plays Harry Call, a surveillance expert who's brilliant at listening and terrified of being heard. Released the same year as The Godfather Part 2, it got overshadowed. Hackman does something rare here. He disappears. Glasses, slumped shoulders, a guarded mumble. He's not a movie star, he's a man fading into his own paranoia. And when things begin to spiral, he doesn't explode. He implodes. Silently. Francis Ford Coppola may have directed it, but Hackman anchors it. You watch him obsess over one snippet of tape, one possible meaning, until it consumes him. By the end, he's tearing apart his apartment, piece by piece, looking for a bug that may not even exist. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's unforgettable. A performance about what's not said, and the unbearable cost of hearing too much. Hackman doesn't just play Harry Call, he becomes him, and it still doesn't get the credit it deserves. These actors didn't need explosions or spotlight. They became their roles. Some were snubbed, others forgotten, but every one of them, a masterclass hiding in plain sight. And don't forget to subscribe to VintageVerse for more.